Okay. All right, everyone. We're getting started in just a moment. I hope that you have some drinks in your hands. Also, if a favor, could some of you sitting on this side scooch a bit to give some more space for their other people who might be filing in and perhaps don't want to climb stairs? Very much appreciated.
It's just me? Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy birthday to us. It's a great evening to be the director of the ICA, Dominic Wilson. Thanks for coming tonight. I feel really grateful on this occasion for everybody who's done so much to create the ICA and to enable us to do what we have been doing over these past 5 years. I've been here 4.5 years, which is really it's nothing by comparison with what so many people in this room have done over 5 years and much longer. I think you know that I'm going to be in conversation with Stephen Hall and Demetrios Sesharelia in a little bit, and Stephen said the first time he came to Richmond to do this project was in 2011. So this goes back a way. I'm going to have a chance to share some further reflections when we're in conversation just in a few minutes. But to start us off for this evening, I wanted to invite remarks from two people who are just core to the two communities that made the ICA a thing in the first place. First of all, VCU President Mike Rao, and then after Dr. Rao, ICA Board Chair and one of the, as you know, core founders of the ICA, Pam Royal. So Mike, over to you.
So if I stand here, can you hear me well? Or
Yes.
Is this better? Yeah. Okay. Well, good evening. It's great to see so many of you, and great for all of you to be together with us to celebrate this really wonderful milestone. It was 2011 when we got together for the first time, and I think we actually, didn't we first meet in New York, and then we ended up coming together down here? And it was interesting, your first reactions to, what do you think about VCU in Richmond? And you had an open mind, which was wonderful. And you can see now why this has all become such an important thing. It was wonderful to watch Stephen really grow with excitement about the possibilities and what could be and how we could make something happen in Richmond that would truly have international caliber and weight. And that's exactly what we wanted. I visited several ICAs around the country while I was traveling, and it was very interesting to recognize that what was really happening at these institutions, or at these institutes, I guess they are institutions of sorts, is that they were truly international destinations. They were places where people from all around the world were coming. And so there were several reasons why people were coming to Richmond, but unfortunately, they were not necessarily for reasons that were aligned with how much talent there was in this day and age. And here we have had this top-ranked School of the Arts among public institutions in the country, this wonderful opportunity to really feature so many of our people, which has happened, and thank you, Dominic, for continuing to really capture a sense of what we have built in our School of Arts here. And it really is creativity that has set this institution apart from so many others throughout the nation, particularly research universities. We talk about research universities, but the truth is that it's creativity that's really separated this institution. Even in our School of Business, when you look at our strategic plan for the School of Business, it's creativity that's really the focus of that strategic plan, and that's what's played out, and I'm very, very proud of that. And so, so many great things have happened in this building. It's really become a center, if you will, for where we all come together. I'm very grateful for that, grateful for Dominic's leadership, and just very appreciative of the opportunity to take, and Monica, my wife, certainly says this all the time, for art and design to take our experience as human beings to the next level, because it's something that cuts across all of the different languages and cultures that we have throughout the world. And I'm so grateful that this is a representative entity of just that. So many great things have happened here over the last 5 years, and you'll hear a whole lot more about that. I do want to say that when you look at where we have been as a region, as a state, frankly, being the former capital of the Confederacy, an ICA is really a very important next step for us to really be able to talk about the things that are hard to talk about and to really think about the things that otherwise we wouldn't think about, to take Richmond to the next level, to attract people to Richmond from all over the world who can become part of our community. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do that. I can tell you that there are faculty members in so many areas that have nothing to do with the arts at all, that are probably put right over the top by the fact that there is an Institute for Contemporary Art here at VCU. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to continue to elevate and feature VCU students, VCU faculty members, but also VCU alumni, who are some of the top in this country. Guggenheim Award winners, I mean, just so many fellows, so many people who are just really critical people in communicating design throughout the world, really, at this point. I want to say thank you to the ICA Student Council for its most recent programming. I guess that played out last weekend, and so much more yet to come. Lastly, I mostly want to say, and Jyogi, thank you so much for helping me think about what not to say tonight. I really appreciate that. But I can't not say this, and that is, this was 2011 that we connected. But what was more important is that I met these folks, and there were 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6 actually at that point, and it included Kathy and Steve Markell. It included Bill and Pam Royal. And they said, we have a vision and we want to test it out with you and try to get some excitement from you. And it didn't take long because I recognized that this is one of those things that VCU deserved. And I also recognized that this was going to be a major undertaking. And the Markells, the Royals, and so many of you in this room stepped up and made it possible for us to bring all of this together. It really isn't just a facility. It is symbolic of so many of the ways in which we wish to advance humanity, particularly here in Richmond, Virginia, particularly in light of so many of the things that in Richmond, Virginia, we look back and realize were just not right. And this is right, and this is moving us in the right direction. And so, Pam, you're here tonight. I'm delighted that you are. I'm grateful to you for your leadership. Grateful to the Markells. And every time I see you, I'm reminded of how my heart feels about the amount of time that we spent in those early years with you and Bill. And just a near, dear friend. So grateful that you are here. Both, well, you're here. Bill's here. Bill's here. I know he's here. And it's all come together. And so with that, Pam, I ask you to come forward and share a few of your thoughts and allow us to express more gratitude to you. Of course.
So I was struggling to find my handbag because I don't go anywhere without a little bit of Bill. This is the ashes that I carry with me all the time. So I can't help but reflect backward, and I know there's going to be a bit more of that tonight, but I don't want to linger on it. But because so many of you were there at the beginning, I'm going to just say how special it was for Bill and me, channeling Bill at moments, hopefully, in my remarks. When we knew that in order to do this, we needed to raise private funds, and over $30 million in private funds, Bill's pitch was, where is it possible in a state like Virginia to be the founder of an arts organization, of an arts entity? And I thought, how compelling is that? So we asked as many people as we knew if that appealed to them and if they would want to join us. And I'm so happy that there are so many founders here tonight. And without lingering, I also want to tell you that for us, I think it started in 2008, and it was Bev Reynolds, of course. Yes. And it was former Dean Rick Toscan that came to us and said, do you want to be part of this? What we're trying to do is build a new Anderson Gallery for VCU Arts. And just like so many things in our life, Bill said, hell, that's not a big enough ambition. He said, we need to do something else. So as a consequence, with this process, we were able to not build an Anderson Gallery, but to celebrate the legacy of the Anderson Gallery to this day and do something different. And to make sure it was positioned as something different, we thought a lot about we got to name this thing, the ICA. And it's not an institute of contemporary art like others are in the world. It's an institute for contemporary art. And that was a really important distinction that we wanted to make because we think it means something different and it's more reflective of what we're actually doing here. So we got to name it. We got to pick this location. I mean, it wasn't intended to be here. It was going to be behind the Jefferson. You know, and we thought, why would we give up the opportunity to be right here at VCU? Right here. I mean, Stephen pitched this over and over again. This is the intersection. This is the most significant intersection in the metro area. 60,000 vehicles at that time would go through this intersection a day. We needed to be here. We also got to select a world-renowned architect for the process. And thrillingly, we were involved in that process. We got 63 proposals that were extraordinary from the best architectural firms in the world, and the vote was unanimous. It had to be Stephen Hall Architects. And I'm really excited about the fact that you all get to hear more about that history. And when I think about the firsts that have happened, we got this extraordinary executive director in Dominic Wilsden. Remember when we... When we were interviewing the finalists, we had them come to a reception at Try Me in our art space, and we were, I think Bill and I behind the scenes saying, this is the one, this is the one. And it wasn't, of course, up to us. There was a search committee and somebody else was going to make the decision. But obviously, we weren't the only people that were thinking, this is the one, right? And then, I'm trying to think, and the curatorial step and our opening exhibition, do you all remember it, how extraordinary Declaration was? I dragged out, I haven't worn this dress since our opening 5 years ago. But I thought, why not, right? But of course, we have to talk about what we launched with in terms of the art in the space and the artists represented, and that was so critical to really putting our flag in the ground. So without dwelling any longer, I'll say it's not really about the past. What's most exciting to me, and I know Bill would feel exactly the same way, is that you all, founders and others that have been with us for so long, are joined by thousands of people that are seeing VCU, seeing Richmond, engaging with contemporary art for the first time because of the ICA. And every single event, if you can stay until 9:30, we're going to see hundreds of people here that you've not seen anywhere else in Richmond, that you won't see without engaging in contemporary art. And what an opportunity for us to be responsible for that engagement mechanism for our community. And when I say community, I hope all of you understand I'm not talking about Richmond. I'm talking about a global community. And our ICA is doing that better than any other organization I'm aware of in the world. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you, Mike. Got to say, I'm really moved by so much of what you said, and certainly for my part, when I came here, a lot of the appeal was the sense of an institution that was so profoundly committed to the new and to what could be different and to change. And I came from big museums of modern art that were in many senses kind of looking backwards. And we begin with this diagram about how the architecture was organized in a way that centered on looking forwards. And the new is difficult. You have to learn a lot of things. Change is hard for many people, but it's necessary. And maybe if you can achieve change through art, you can achieve change in other areas of life too, and that matters a lot in everything that we do here. So Steve and Demetra, I just thought to open this evening, and Pam referred to it, we have a whole program through this night of artist-driven activities that focus on the present, that focus on the exhibitions and projects that we're doing right now, not on the past. But just to kick us off this evening, what I thought we'd do, knowing that you were able to come here, is just look at a few images from the 5 years, and there could have been so many others, and do what we've done in private a few times, which is just kind of think about what you imagined for the building as architects in the light of what artists actually did and what audiences did too. And then we're going to end with something, another building of yours from nearby, just a few images. But as I say, the first thing that struck me coming here was the way in which the ICA, unlike a museum of modern art, the ones I've worked for before, it isn't a series of rooms that capture different movements, different decades, but points towards possibilities of the future. So is this the future? Is this the future? Is this the future? It rotates, it changes. And there are some real distinctive features that you built into this. And Corin Hewitt might actually be here. I think I saw him outside. So this is an exhibition of Corin Hewitt, artist you know here in Richmond, VCU faculty. And I picked this one because Corin, you really utilized the duality of this space in a very specific way. You haven't been here since the opening, right?
5 years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago. So just roll through a few things here. The first theme I wanted to have you speak to a little bit, because I've heard you speak to it in other contexts, is around the use of light in the space. So one thing that's distinctive about Corin's project here, for those of you who remember it, was that it was itself several light sources, as well as seeking to control the light coming in. And then Gallery 3, this is, I think, a little bit earlier, Julianne Schwartz. And this one, you could say a bit about this. Pick this one because Julianne's work, and you know her.
Yes, no, I just, by coincidence, I ran into her in Rhinebeck at the Bistro restaurant 1 week ago, and we talked about, we did the Queen's Community Library together. She did the art, she cut holes in our building in certain places with periscope views. And she's a very interesting artist, so that's a coincidence that you chose her for this.
Yeah, I just picked it because it seemed like these sculptures were themselves vessels for the light that was being allowed into the building. So say a bit about, how you've walked around today, and
today was fantastic. I mean, I must say that Dimitri and I were just appreciating Richmond. I mean, this is a great city. I mean. We went to the Edgar Allan Poe Museum again. I've been there like 3 times, and sat in the garden in the back, and just the sort of poetry of that place, the simplicity of it, and then over here at this kind of place called Birdie's to get 4 oysters and a glass of wine. I mean, it's like a Parisian boulevard, Broad Street now. With all the possible places that have changed. I mean, when I first came here in 2011, that wasn't happening on that street at all. Yeah. This building, I think, has been a catalyst a little bit for the area around it.
We're going to use that Parisian boulevard quote. And one theme I wanted to remind everybody of and have you see was, and we've talked about this, how so many of the exhibitions involved live activation and performance. This is Julianne playing the sculptures as musical instruments. And also another highlight of your day today was your meeting with Andy Clifford, who is the exhibition designer and chief prep behind so many things that have happened here. So I'm just out of shot here, but seeing these pictures, one thing I notice is how people's kids have grown up in 5 years. I think this was I'm not sure I'd quite started the job yet. It was a few weeks before. Yeah, still thinking about how light comes into the building. We were in this space earlier, but this show from a couple of years ago, Sila Chanto and Belkis Ramirez exhibition, so often we've shown artists from around the world who haven't necessarily had an exhibition in the United States before. And these 2 artists were really, to my mind, put more firmly onto the art historical record by what guest curator Miguel Lopez did here. But I picked this also because of the way in his curation he utilized the light source that you place at the end of Gallery 1.
Light really connects us to the moment of now, too, as it changes during the day, as it really is the moment of the day. So I think light coming into, or the absence of light, as a matter of fact, also is a kind of separation from the outside world. So I love this installation, and the fabric in front of the light is of that moment. Yeah.
Tapestries are also a kind of a vessel for the light in the building. You told me earlier that sometimes curators, directors make your buildings dark.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we did that
Well,
too.
it's the curatorial decision. You know, you make a building, and it's an instrument that's used. Yeah. To my idea is to make the maximum possibilities. And for my taste, it would be open up all the skylights like you have it today.
Yeah.
The show today is terrific. I must say, every time I'm thinking, I'm very worried about coming back here 5 years later, because I remember when I went back to Kiasma in Helsinki 5 years later, and they had blacked out all the skylights. And the museum is made of 21 galleries of natural light, each one a different slice of natural light. So it's like it's almost like a musical composition, and it ends in a crescendo at the top. I went there 5 years after it opened, and somebody, the curators, had put black plastic over every skylight. So I was getting ready for that today.
It's good you weren't here in 2020, because this is what you see in Gallery 1. But this is an amazing installation of the exhibition of the Otliff group that we brought from the Van Abbe Museum in the Netherlands. And from time to time, I think we've seen part of our service here in Richmond is to bring these great exhibitions from other museums around the world of contemporary art to share here. This is the opening of Great Force. Amber Saber is in the room here, and this was a real landmark project for us. And I picked this slide because it introduces the space of the Royal Forum, which is outside here, and also that habit we've been in of featuring performance, live activation. This is Tamashi Jackson and her team completing the mural for the facade that took place at that time. It's the finished mural. I think I have an early watercolor of yours from, is this the beginning of the idea?
This is before the competition. You know, there were several, I think there were 6 architects in the end, or 6 or 7, that had to present sketches of what the idea was that they were going to try to, realize. And this is very early. This is during that process where you're just making a sketch and trying to talk about what it could be. And it's not a very nice drawing.
Did you? You saw it as a space of art, as well as that it could be installed for art as much as galleries?
Well, yeah, and I think one of the things I always feel that the sort of reception space has to be somehow really open, and this is like Janus. It's an entrance to the university and an entrance to the city. So it's there's 2 fronts to this building, right? On the courtyard, in the garden, it's the university, and here is the city. And then when they come together, to rise up, to feel like it's going to invite you up. But what I like also is that you use it as a gallery. It's full of this yellow noodles now. What's that? I don't know what that is. I love that. I mean, that's what it was. That's why it's so big down there, Yeah. And it's important that it can be used as a exhibition space.
Yeah. No, the work of Riley Hooker and the commission for the wall from Tricky Walsh. These are new works of art that we've commissioned that have just been finished in the last few days. Part of what we're doing tonight is not just recognizing 5 years, but just the last days and weeks of working with artists.
And all the ideas of how this connects to the cafe, to the theater, to the first gallery, to the upstairs. It's a centrifugal kind of force that sends you off to all these other programs that are taking place, and of course to the outside. So it's all connected at the heart.
Goes back to your earlier point about how the outside enters the building in so many different ways.
Yes.
I picked a few things when I was looking through the sort of visual history of the ICA that made me think of what we had done when the pandemic began. And this exhibition, this is a mural we commissioned from Firle Baez, and was originally intended to be in the gallery. And this exhibition, which scheduled to open in September 2020, many of the works were sort of flipped to the outside of the building, since access to the building was a difficult thing. Also part of that show, many of you know and remember this work and know Joan Chavez, the Resiliency Garden that was here for 6 months.
I love how green the roofs are on this.
Yes, the two variations between the two gardens. As part of that, in a way, the projections by Dustin Klein and videometry on that wall, November 2020. Part of Inlight, in fact, one of a number of collaborations with 1708 Gallery.
We did envision that the outside would
You
be
did?
used for art.
Yeah.
We wanted to engage the inside and the outside as it talks to the rest of the city. You don't necessarily have to go in it to understand what's happening. You can also drive by and feel the energy.
I think it works also for us as a way to help identify the building as a space of art, space of culture. Couple more. The pond in the thinking field, this one time became the site of a sculpture, work of Ibrahim Ahmed.
I love this piece. It's fantastic. The sails move in the wind. I mean, you were telling me about it, how dynamic it is. Fantastic. That's a great shot.
Ibrahim's longtime collaborator, Nugent Smith, another performance within an exhibition work. July of 2021, I think. The elevator is a feature of social media for sure.
You know what the word value engineering is? That's like when the architect's drawings, it's too expensive, so you got to make it more economic. So get rid of all that glass in the elevator. You got to do something more economic. So we thought, what are we going to do? And I figured out that because of the technology today, you can digitally cut aluminum sheets very cheaply. So then we just put the LED lights behind these digitally cut sheets, and it became a space that's very interesting, and it's big enough to have a rap music concert.
The series curated by Anjali Moon, Elevator Pitch, obviously. I think she started with the title and then figured out what it could be. A kind of tiny desk for us. Another COVID-era program, Kyle Kidd, Sam Reed. All online still. And I was trying to say something about this space, and we're in it right now, and it's harder to photograph because things happen in the dark so much. 2 shots from the great test pattern performance series we
I have to say that when I was working on this, I wanted to make this as steep as I could, because the idea of the building is one goes up and the other one goes out. In other words, it was the intersection of Broad and Belvedere and the dynamic of these two pieces. So we went to Broadway, and every theater we measured and measured and measured, and we found some really steep Broadway theaters. I think it was the Helen Hayes. I can't remember the name of which one. And I said, well, it's possible. So this is unique. Yeah. This angle of an auditorium is unique. It's very special.
I got to say, it's rare. We're a part of a family of institutions in the US, MCA Denver, Camp Houston, ICA Philadelphia. It's rare for those institutions to have a space like this, in addition to the gallery space.
And I heard you have your board of trustees meeting here too.
We do.
Which is nice,
because
right?
our board is so big now.
Now you can just keep expanding the board.
Yeah.
Right.
Dorian Woods, just from last December, I think, in the test pattern series. We started, during COVID, we started to use the space as much as a studio as it was a theater, because we were creating projects for online dissemination as well as in-person viewing. This is the one change we made to your work. I hope you're okay with it.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's Community Media Center.
It's great. It's a great. We love it. We love it.
Led by Chioke Jansen, who spoke earlier, and designed by Camden Whitehead and students in VCU Interior Design. And a chance for us, working with VPM, to add a whole new learning function to what the ICA does. There he is. 5 years younger there, right? Okay, lastly, I think Rashid Johnson, this is maybe the earliest major example of us using performance within an exhibition. This exhibition was up for like, I think 9-10 months. Performances actually curated by David Riley, standing right there, and somewhere around here. Every Friday, I think it was, performances around Rashid's Monument was the title of it. I don't know if that's a good drawing or bad drawing, but that's your drawing. So.
That upper space to me was really for the unknown. I thought about art that had to be, and now you're doing it, that had to be suspended from the ceiling. I mean, what kind of art? I mean, I think we gave some images of a blown apart Volkswagen that was all, I forget the name of the artist, but I wanted to say, we want to think about these galleries as invitations for the unknown, for the future. What is it? We don't know. And then there's these hanging points that are embedded in the top of this space. So it's and now it's suspended. I really like the piece that's there today.
Yeah, Raphael Domenech installation there. I think my last slide was definitely a great memory for me. I don't know if anybody was there. This was the opening of another of Amber's shows, exhibition of Guadalupe Maravilla. And the opening was not an event like tonight, but a sleepover and sound bath accompanied by a tea ceremony. And because you may know, Lupe's sculptures here can also be played as musical instruments. This is, people are just settling in. Every inch of the floor was a lot of sculpture students, to be honest, but some other people too. And people stayed. A few people came during the night, and a few people left. The thing I heard, I remember someone saying, is that people slept and woke up at 6 a.m. when Lupe and his collaborators stopped playing. But yeah, that was just a very beautiful, poignant memory there. And then, just to end, and then we've got so much going on the rest of the evening. We want to let you go to that. Just going to show some slides, and maybe we could just have a little bit of a concluding chat. This is the Reach, which is your, I was thinking more recent project, but you reminded me that it started around the same time as the ICA.
2012. It was a competition. Another 6 architects, but this was a full-blown competition. And they paid us $50,000 to do the whole thing with the models and the whole presentation. And then we proposed, instead of an object, that we would merge it with the landscape. And they said it's impossible because the city's water lines and sewer lines run through there. You have to just do an object next to the original Kennedy Center. And we said, would you give us a chance to show you we can do it? And they were really nice. Michael Kaiser was the director, and he said, all right, we're going to do a second round with 3 finalists, give you another $50,000. Let's see if you can do it. And we proved that we could do it. And you know, it's a great space. It's all about the landscape.
So I want
three-quarters of the building is underground. It's almost all underground.
Yeah.
It's a big landscape.
So I partly wanted to mention it because it's near here, so we can all go. And a group of us, in fact, are going next week to the Guston show, to see Glenstone, and we have an art travel program, if you don't know, that we're starting up. So I haven't been there, so I'm looking forward to seeing that next week.
Inside, it's really, the interiors are the spectacular part. And the landscape, going around in the landscape. And
so just before we conclude this segment and send people out into everything else that's going on, creating cultural institutions has been so much part of your practice. I mean, coming back, thinking about this space, the other spaces you've done, what does it mean to be an architect of such spaces?
For me, I mean, we've realized over 10 museums. And when I think about this project, I think about the question, a philosophical question, what is an institution? You know, when you take a museum like the Nelson Atkins Museum with a collection, like have 3 Gauguins, I mean, they have an incredible, so when you're expanding an institution. It's already known. It's a community respected thing. When we did this, it's like starting from scratch. I mean, Pam expressed it very well in what she was saying. So what is an institution? And the idea that this would be about the future, but you know what? It could be a failure, and it's not. And that's because of your work and President Rowe supporting it. And I think it's more meaningful in a way than this, to me, because it's from scratch. I mean, this is also, I really love the Kennedy Center because that's, out of all those monuments in Washington, D.C., this is about an active monument. It's programmed, 360 days a year, programmed, the Kennedy Center. The Lincoln Memorial is just over there, you know, and it's not so interesting that way. It's a monument, you know. I mean, it's nice, but I mean, there's nothing going on. But this is beyond
They
that.
call it a
Because,
living memorial.
yeah.
It's active. They call it a living memorial.
yeah, the
because
Kennedy
it's-
Center is a living memorial. And so it compares to, it's a good example, it compares to this. But then the question of inventing something from scratch on a vacant piece of asphalt on a corner, and you know, it's really amazing, I think. And also the process of making it, right?
The process of making, but I wanted to also make a comment that it started from scratch and it was a big experiment, a big risk to undertake, but it was backed and it is backed by VCU. And
That's right.
The component that I think holds it all together, the educational aspect that connects it to the campus that it sits on,
Right.
is what also leads to the future, because this is about students as well that want to think and make the future. And so it's reinventing something, but really supporting it on the youth that actually is here and visits the buildings, most of
I know
the
that's been
visits.
a stunning thing for me, even though I was keen for it to happen. Half our audience is under 25 years old.
Incredible.
That's important.
That's not even a museum audience by any regular measures, you know.
You know, I think
But
today,
that's-
you know, in our time of climate issues and all the different issues we have as a culture, and to have an institution about hopeful future via art and music and perform. I also like the blurring of the arts. It's not just painting and sculpture, it's everything. You know, I was editor of Domus for the last 5 issues. I'm putting my last issue to press like next week. And it's a very international art magazine. But I said, I don't want to have architecture, design, you know, art, as I want to blur the boundaries. And I think that's what's also exciting about this place, how the boundaries of different performance, music, everything is blurred by the way that you can do things here, except for the acoustic problems that you told me about.
We can talk about that separately. Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming back tonight. It makes it just extra meaning for us, for you to have you here today.
And for us too.
And so we're going to be here this evening so we can chat and hello. Oh. Oh.
Question.
Okay.
Was Kiasma your first?
Yes, Chiasma was the first, and it's now been renovated. It had so much traffic, million visitors a year, and now it's just opened again, reopened. They had to change the floors and everything, but it's just, and I'm very proud of that. And that's also, well, yes, it was a little bit. But there was already an institution there. There was the historic museum, and the way they formed that, they had a permanent collection in both. And they took, arbitrarily, they took the year 1960, and they said, in the original museum, we'll keep everything before 1960. In this museum, we're going to bring everything beyond, 1960 and beyond. So there was a collection. That's very different than this place. This is more radically inventive place than Chiasma.
Well, we went there just after the opening, and we were totally blown away. Totally. We'd never seen anything like it until Richmond.
Thank you for that. We should really, Stephen and Dimitri are going to be here hanging out with us so we can go and chat back in the Royal Forum. And this is a wonderful way to start the evening. Thank you. We've got a lot of amazing things ahead of us tonight. So,
this is in fact a night of conversation. Many things will be happening on every floor of the ICA this evening. Please join us in the forum for a talk with some artists and curators.